Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. My name is Brittain. I'm the Research Vessels Manager for the MBA, and I'm going to give you just a bit of a short presentation showing some of the history of the research vessels at the MBA and also looking at our present day capabilities. Okay, so MBA has got quite a long history of operating and owning research vessels. Basically, we've had 11 that have operated at the lab dating back from 1896 through until present day. Not saying this just because I'm biased, because it's the area that I work in, but RVs throughout the history of the MBA, they've been really critical in the MBA's research that takes place away from dry land and out to sea. And the crews as well have been, really instrumental in helping scientists to achieve some of their work. That local knowledge and that knowledge of the sea really, really beneficial to multiple scientists at the lab throughout the years. So the vessels have really, the key thing that they've been involved in has been they've facilitated MBA's long-term research Western English Channel ecosystem. So I've got the next couple of slides, they're just to sort of show you the diversity and the range of vessels that the MBA has operated. And what I've done is I've chosen sort of a few that I sort of see as the vessels. I'd love to speak about each and every one of them because they're all fantastic and unique in their own way. But unfortunately, it's sort of like I'm restricted to do that. So starting in the left-hand corner, we've got the very first MBA RV, which was the Busy Bee, and she was an 18-metre steamboat. She was purchased in 1896, and as well as conducting research, she was also used as a platform for teaching. And sort of the really important thing with the Busy Bee was that she was the first of the MBA's vessels to take part in the fisheries investigations, which is sort of like, one of the really important aspects of the work that the MBA has done throughout its history. And then moving along here into the centre, we've got the Oithona. She was in service from 1901 to 1921. She was also a steam-powered vessel. The interesting thing about this boat was that in World War I, so between 1918, the Royal Navy requisitioned the vessel. So unfortunately, sure, much to the disappointment of the scientists at the laboratory, the sampling that took place at sea had ended. But then she was returned back to the MBA in 1919 at the end. And then just a few years later, she was actually sold to the Belgian government. So she sort of finished up in the UK and then sort of went round to Belgium and started helping them do their fisheries investigations at sea. And she was sold for a total of £775, so a real bargain by sort of modern day standards. So sort of moving along now away from sort of our steam-powered vessels, a really important milestone, I think, in the MBA's at sea was the building and purchasing of this large vessel down here, the Starcia. She was in service at the MBA for 28 years, so one of the longest serving vessels that we've had actually, and also one of the largest. So she was 39 metres. She was diesel powered, so she had much more capacity to head further offshore. And she actually did a lot of different work, not just in sort of the local waters of Plymouth, but she was more of an ocean-going vessel. So she had, you can see up here, lots of sort of facilities on board where staff and scientists and crew, they could stay on board the vessel, which, she was really intended for going and working off in deeper waters away from base for days to weeks at a time. So just, some of the places she went to was she was all the way out in the Celtic Sea, into deep waters of the Atlantic. Then she was off the north coast of Spain at one point, and then she also did some work in Norway, and then all the way around to the Baltic Sea as well. That's the Sarsia. So our sort of moving on to our more recent times, I won't say too much about the Frederick Russell because she was only sort of in service for, not really MBA's vessel history. The Squilla, this was a boat that I think we still have members of staff around that, were dreadfully seasick on the Squilla at certain points in their careers. We've had to sort of really coax the likes of Colin Brownlee to come out and sleep you again, because Squilla, Dave Squilla at points doing some fish trawl as well. So, she was a vessel that was, you can see sort of her design was really more involved in sort of trawling investigations. So, a big part of the research that she facilitated was the squid investigations that took place. That was sort of working more, with sort of, it was the Whitefish Authority that they sort of worked with the NBA investigations into squid, and that was again really using those as a bit of local knowledge from the crew that worked aboard her. So that's sort of a real snapshot of some of the historic RVs. And now moving on to the present day, as most of you I'm sure are aware, we still operate research vessels now. So we have MVA Sepia, and we also have a small 5.8 metre rigid inflatable boat called MVA Laminaria, and she's been sort of working within the Smale group for their research. And I'm going to sort of focus on talking about MVA Sepia. So she was custom built for the MVA back in 2004 down in Falmouth by Kingfisher Boats, 0.45 metres in length. She's got a nice, when we say 5 metre beam, that's sort of basically the width of the boat. So if you imagine the deck, we've got sort of like 5 metres from side to the other. Then quite unique for a vessel this size is that she 1.55 metre draft, which is basically the part of the boat that is below the water. So she's very shallow in her draft, which means that we can access a range of different marine environments, way up to sort of estuarine and some river work. We have in the past quite often taken her up the Tamar River. We've gone sort of as far as Morwell Quay. So she's very versatile in that sense. We're allowed to carry a maximum of 15 persons on board. That includes our crew in that number. So the vessel is fully manned by our team. Basically, as you can see here, we've got Ali Small. She's our seagoing research technician. Sean McTierney, Mitchell Brennan, who's our crew member. Then that comes on board. I've got a scientific background and a lot of field experience on boats, so that's I'm also an extra pair of hands if required on surveys. So we've got a really good skill set within our team. Lots of great knowledge, and we can support a wide range of research projects. This slide is really just a very quick snapshot of some of the things that we have been involved in and what we can do. So we've worked quite a lot in the past with the Sims group doing fish tracking and monitoring, which I think that's been a real highlight for me personally. I've really enjoyed that work that we've done. We do a lot of routine environmental monitoring, so sort of monitoring some basic oceanographic conditions that are out on our surveys. We've got the capacity to do benthic sampling. We did run quite a long-term benthic sampling program, so we still have the expertise to carry out out those types of surveys. We do quite a bit of plankton sampling, and sort of in recent years we've been working a lot more with the Cunliffe Group and supporting some of their work. So obviously they're researching marine fungi, and we've been involved in a big project with them, sort of doing transects away from the Tamar out to our E1 sampling station, which is about 22 miles offshore. And then we've also been involved in some environmental DNA work in recent years. So, really, I just wanted to sort of highlight that, we've got a real versatile platform. We can do a whole range of different surveys and sampling as required, and hopefully can support most of the groups at the MBA. So some of the a topic that's sort of close to my own heart, really, because it's what my personal background is. The research vessels have been involved in a lot of the long-term investigations that have taken place in the Western English Channel. So monitoring inshore fish communities has been a really key part of some of these time series data sets that we possess at the MBA. These were, this data set that we've got, these surveys are actually some of the earliest fisheries independent surveys that have taken place in European waters. They're really focusing on the inshore fish communities as well. So collect big thioplankton samples, which is our young fish trawl. Do that at a couple of different stations, sampling stations, and then our fish trawling that takes place at 3 different sites off the coast of Plymouth. And I think what makes it so special is that it's a really it's a highly temporal sampling program that's done over a very fine spatial scale. And this is just a slide to sort of show you, the summary of what we've actually collected in that time. So, it's a 109-year period that we've worked across, but within that there's obviously been interruptions. So we've got about 64 years of inshore fish data. We're still doing these surveys now. So we've done something like well over 4,000 fish trawls. We've sampled a lot of individual fish, and then we've got 143 species. So that's again something that my team on sort of Sepia, we not only operate the boat, but we are also in a way our own survey team with fish expertise. So that's another sort of bit of what we can provide. So that's really, just a very whistle-stop tour of the historic RVs at the lab and different services that we can offer now. Thanks very much for listening. I'd really urge you and encourage you, if I may, to follow us on social media. We've got quite an active Instagram account and Twitter account, so it'd be really nice to have a few more people follow us on that and contribute. It's really nice when people come out and join us on the boat and sort of share photos and experiences. And if you are interested in coming on the boat at any point, or you'd like a tour, or you'd like to know a bit more, then please feel free to contact me, and myself or some of the other crew would be more than happy to welcome you down on the boat. So yeah, that's it to finish there. Thank you.